So if you're at this point in the presentation, we're going to start beginning to write gamelan music that's a bit more authentic in how it's constructed, and we're going to be looking at the Lancaran structure. This is no different in terms of how we plot all the notes on the score, because we use grids similar to the way we've written music before. And the most recent grid that you will have used will have been the writing of a melody for a colotomic structure, where you added the peaking above the melody, above the three other part melodies that you'd written in previous activities. So when you go through here, we're going to be creating a composition by clicking on this grid here. So when we click on that, it'll take you to this particular activity. So it'll take you to this grid. There's nothing that's different about these grids in terms of what they look like. You will have written your previous activity in a very similar grid to this. So it is 8 beats all the way down to 16 beats down here. So it's 2 pages. That's what the grids look like. You'll notice that the grids no longer have the grayed out squares through here, because we're going to be writing in a predetermined structure, and we're going to show you that in a second. So we need to be able to write for the Balinese style, which you'll know the key characteristics of. The 5 instruments. The 5 instruments are listed here in the grid. We're going to be writing a 16-beat structure that references Lancaran structure, and we're going to write 2 phrases. Beat 1 to 16 is 1 phrase. So we need to be able to copy both grids. So let's take all of that. So copy that all the way down. So select all of those, and then Command C, and then we'll paste it underneath, and we get 2 phrases. All right, so we should have 2 lots of 1 to 16. For now, I'll concentrate on writing one 16-bar phrase. The next thing we need to do, as with all of the pieces you've written first, we're going to write a core melody that's based on the Slendro scale. Okay, so write it based on the Slendro scale, the 5-note pentatonic that resembles the C major pentatonic. So let's start with that melody. So I'll just write a very basic melody. Okay, there's my first 8-beat cycle. Now the thing that makes this music different from everything else is this. This is the Lancaran structure grid. And when we talked about graphic notation earlier, we talked about having to interpret symbols to be able to tell where the notes are going to fall. In this particular structure, the siren is the core melody. So it plays, as you can see here, all the time. The other symbols, where they're located, mean that they play only on those beats where their symbols are asking them to play. The dots are rests, and then the letters correspond with whatever instrument is being asked to play at that particular beat. So here, you can see I've written my core melody out for the first 8 beats, and here it is here. Whatever instrument is playing, its note or its pitch will be the same as whatever is in the core melody at the same time. So let's start filling out the grid down the bottom here according to this structure. So you can see the core melody plays the whole time. Concentrating on beat number 1, the only other instrument that's playing is the small gong, and we need to put a letter in for that. So down here in the small gong, we're going to put a C, because that's the only other thing it's been asked to play. In bar 2, the instruments that are being asked to play are the demung and the peking. I'll add the lower instruments first, and then I'll show you how to add the peking after that. So D, back up to the top here. In bar 3, the only thing it's playing is the core melody, so we have a rest. Then the demung plays in bar 4, and it plays G, so on and so forth. Across to bar 5, we're back down to where the small gong plays on A. You can put in here the dot. If you want to put a dot in, it is, I think it's the Option key and the letter 8, and it makes a dot for you. So hold the Option key down and press the 8, and that gives you the rest symbol that it's asking you to play. Above here, when we put in the Peking notation, so let's go to beat 2 here. When we put in the Peking notation, we need to put in the first letter that is common to the core melody. So in this case, it's D, and then we might put in next door a neighboring tone. So let's put in E. So we keep moving forward. So we're going to have DE in here, and then we're going to have, I think in bar 3 it was a rest completely. So let's put the option 8. Then next, I think the Peking is playing in bar 4. Let's have the same sort of pattern. So it's going to be G is the first note because G is the note in the core melody. And then let's have A as the next note. So on and so forth. So what you need to do is to continue, so you write your own core melody, fill out the lower parts, which is the next part here, add the lower parts, then add the Peking part above, and as you can see, the Peking part will be the same note in the left-hand box as what's in the core melody, and then you can put whatever tone you like here as long as it's a neighbouring tone. So D's neighbouring tones are C and E. G's neighbouring tones are in the Slendro scale are E and A. After you've done that, you've got to add, don't forget the gong part at the very end. We're going to put a gong part at the end of every 16 beats. So whatever is added, if whatever we add in this bar here, whatever note is in your core melody, you have to add in the gong at the end of the 16 bar pattern. Because as you can see up here, the structure is only 16 beats long. So have a go and see how you go with writing out that structure. And if you finish that, you'll be able to record that and hopefully be able to play it in an ensemble. If you have any questions, please put your hand up and I'll come around and I'll do my best to help explain.